Okay, I'm back out here with that Ariens 30-inch wide, 21-inch tall snowblower, the one with the 16.5 polar horse engine by Briggs. Been working on this one quite a while, and I think this should be the finale video, hopefully. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to pull that flywheel. I want to make sure for the owner that all those wires are good and that I got all the debris out that we possibly can get out from behind that flywheel. So we'll start there. Okay, I got the flywheel loose, but I realize it's trapped in by the coil here. So let's take the coil off, and that's not the right size at all. I believe that's not the size either. This one does have some corrosion due to the mouse pee. That took the mouse pee one off. Let's see if the full size one still goes. Good. Pull this out of the way for a minute. Yeah, there's still plenty of mouse stuff we're finding here. I think there was some more in here. Oh yeah, for sure. So, let me get you around here. Look at how much stuff is there. It's all packed in there still, even after I thought I had most of it. And inside here, the magnet is just buried in other nest material, so there was plenty to go around. I'm gonna clean this all out, bring you back. It's all up in here. It's everywhere. Alright, we got her all cleaned up. Got all the fins all good up there. Got the magnets the coils all cleaned so they won't overheat. And also I found this passage, which has a passage, you can see daylight out the bottom behind the starter, but it's also got a couple cooling fins on the block that I really never knew about on this kind of engine, behind the starter there, so that keeps the starter from getting heat soaked from the engine, I suppose. And then we got all the magnets all cleaned up, all the holes, everything. So let's see if I can get this flywheel key lined up. I'm going to face the engine so it's straight up and down. It's the easiest way to align it that I know of, because then I can see it. The flywheel key's already in the flywheel. And there's some more debris that I didn't get. There we go. Good. That's the starter cup. And the big nut. Has escaped me. Ha! And the size of that nut, 1.25 inches fits it, but it's just a hair smaller than that. But for my purposes, 1.25 inches is going to be the one. Okay, found the exact size, 1 3/16. And on this particular engine, they're calling for 120 foot-pounds, which is very difficult to do with a torque wrench and trying to hold it back. I've got a pretty good idea how many honks on the impact we're going to take here. Pretty much all of them. Good. Let's get this coil line back up. I'm putting those in just till it holds it. And you could look up the spec, but you basically want to get your magnet pointed over towards the center there, and put a business card in there is usually about the right size for most every engine. I can't remember if it's 10,000. Business card works perfect. It has come to my attention that business cards are not as easy to find, nor as much used as years ago. I'm going to put them right there. Let's roll that card out of there. Take a look at the gaps. We can also measure them with a feeler gauge, which would be the proper way to do it. And I can see this one is way off. So I will take them loose again. Oh, because I didn't have it on the magnet. No wonder why. Or did I? I don't know. Anyway. Another way you can do it is look about where the, if there's a ring of rust on there, look about where the ring of rust was and match it. Most likely it was factory set and never tampered with, and we are right back in that same ring. So that card is perfect size for this job. And these, when you tighten them, you probably should use the torque spec because they're in these aluminum towers. If you were to break those towers or crack them or strip them, you may have just scrapped the whole engine because of it. I think the bottom one is a little on the tight side. The top one looks right. I can get it in there, but not by much. I'm going to redo it because I don't like it. And it just scraped just a hair there, so I am a little tight. For some reason this bottom one wants to go tighter in than it's supposed to. And all I'm doing is trying to establish a gap between the flywheel and that. So when one heats up or the other heats up, they don't hit each other. And we don't want them touching because they'll create a lot of friction against each other too. You hear a little grind there? That's a little rust piece in there. That's what you don't want. You don't want it that close where it's ever going to interfere. And you don't want it too far because then your spark may not be right. So I'm going to leave the top one put and try to adjust just the bottom one. See if I can do a better job. That bottom one just loves springing back to where I started. So I'm going to fold this card over twice, see if that's going to be a better way, because for some reason it just keeps moving down as I tighten. Keeps moving too close. There we go. Now we got a nice looking gap. No hitting, no grinding. Perfect. Now I'm just going to tighten these up just a little more. That's it. We're there. Now we can concentrate on prepping the head or the block surface. We know we had a blown head gasket. We can see the black blowing out of there. So we know the head was probably warped. The head has been scrapped. There's a new head, brand new. I need to make sure that that surface is relatively flat. First I'm going to clean it, then I'm going to measure it. I'm going to start by just bringing the piston all the way up so I don't get a bunch of crud down in the cylinder. Don't make a mess. And whether it be scraping or brushing, I got a brass brush here so I'm not leaving steel residue on the aluminum, in the aluminum, which could create a rust or a corrosion. I'm going to start by just brushing. And there's still some residue there, so I'm going to go with the scraper very lightly. Alright, no sense final cleaning. I'm going to go over it with the precision straight edge, and I'm going to look for gaps. And there would be a specification on what is allowable. Let's just see if we have any gaps at all before we even bother looking up that. So this is a precision straight edge. It's a precision ground tool made for doing jobs just like this. You could use a ruler, but you better have a pretty straight ruler. And basically you're setting it on the surface and you're looking under there with the feeler gauge or without to see if you see any gaps or any of these holes maybe pulled out a little bit or something like that. You want to make sure there's nothing protruding. And this one looks really good, and you better clean that thing every time because it collects. Like, it is absolute precision ground. And you could take a light behind it or however you need to do it to see if there is a gap. Because basically if this was warped, you'd want to surface that. A machine shop would be the right idea. A file would be a farmer fix. And I think we're looking pretty good all around. Everything I can measure looks flat as can be. So now we'll do our final cleaning. I just didn't know if I was going to have to sand or file anything down. If you didn't have that straight edge, you could just take this. You'd probably want to take that one out if you were thinking that hole might be pulled. That one's still got the pin, the aligning pin in it. You could just take this and go up and down a little bit. You shouldn't catch on anything. That's just a rough way of telling, you know, if you have a high spot. It doesn't tell you how high it is or how much work it might need, but it can possibly identify something. Sometimes one of these holes will pull out a little bit if it was in really bad shape to begin with, but this one's very flat. So again, I've moved the piston all the way to the top, and we're going to clean this surface really well. We want this 100% oil free. I'm just using carburetor cleaner, brake cleaner. Some people use it universally. I don't know the difference. And if you feel like it, you can clean all the carbon off your piston. Doesn't really matter. Carbon is a good insulator, so that probably actually helps keep the piston a little cooler. I don't know. Anyhow, that is prepped. And then to prep the head, I just sprayed some on here. No reason to get it all over the place. Again, just any oils that might be there from the manufacturer, things like that. Let's just get that out of there. Probably would be best to have something that doesn't keep turning into crumbs. Today my blue shop towels are on vacation. So of course, before I close this up, I've gone down these pushrod tubes and cleaned out down there in case anything got in there while I was well, either from the old head breaking or whatever, or any other reason. Gasket. This particular kit I bought came with 2 gaskets. This is a 21M something series engine. It's stamped 21 there. That's the one you use. The other one doesn't even look the same. As far as this, the only difference is it has to be that way, with the 21 facing down. That way that hole is next to that hole. If you did it the other way, looks like it would let the bolts through, but you would have this hole a little bit off. This hole wouldn't be big enough for the spacer, and this hole, which, what is it, an oil return hole or something, I'm not sure, that one would be out in outer space. So we need to put it that way, and then it lands right on this one like it should. And going back to our old head, I just found that it has another alignment pin, which is, I thought it should have one, and it sure does, which goes in up here, I believe. Yeah, that's the hole. Let me get that in and I'll bring it back. Okay, I got that one in there. I deformed it a little bit, but I think we're going to be okay. Try to straighten it up the best I can. The bolt fits fine. Does it fit in the head properly? Okay, everything is laying flat. We got clean surfaces. Head, clean surfaces. Now let's see what has to go under what to fit what. I'm going to get it on the bottom pin first. I had it. There. There we go. Alright, then there's 5 bolts. One of them is dark colored. Obviously that was the one in the engine, in the oil. Let's put that one first. And we're just getting these started. We're not going crazy tight on anything. We don't want to go crazy tight on anything. We're just spinning them in. That's all we're doing right now. And it will not give me that socket back. Well, that's okay. Should be starting about hand anyway. That back. Bring it back when I get that out. Okay, for the Series 2100 engines, there's your torque sequence. Go ahead and take a couple seconds there. Proper torque on these is 25 Newton meters or 220 inch-pounds on this engine. Always look up your own engine. If there's any differences at all, there could be differences. And I would rather give you no information than wrong information. And yes, you should never use a extension or a thingamabobber, but how are you going to get in there really easy? I don't think you could. Let's see. Can you even get in there? I gotta use at least a reducer. Yeah, okay, I can. So let me do the final torque. So number 1 is over here. $25. 2. 3, top right. 4, 4 down the middle. And 5 top left. And I just dropped my socket again. These bolts are critical as far as a lot of things you can do that are more arbitrary. I started with this one to verify. This one should crack over at less than what we need. And it does. So I started with the short one, the ones I could get without the extensions, and then I added the extensions after verifying that was the proper torque. Alright, next in line I'm going to do the rocker arm. I'm calling them pivot. I don't know what the real name is for them. That should be 100. And we were already there as of the quick assembly the other day, so good. Alright, got some original Briggs push rods. These ones are 592673, and I'm just going to compare them to, well, we won't be able to get a real accurate measurement to make sure they're the right length, but close enough on these bent ones. Okay, I got the 2 new ones there. You can see the straight ones compared to the other ones. Lengths are good, and the ends look like the proper ends that we're supposed to have on them. So we're good to go. These also did come with the valve tappets. I am not going to replace those. That involves taking apart the entire engine to get at. They do come out from the inside only. So in this case, no need to take them out. Those should have 0 damage. Alright, back on the head. It's the new head. Let's loosen these adjusters. Good, they weren't very tight. Loosen that. Get those out of our face. Figure out what size bit that is. The big one. I'm just going to take them all the way out for now. It'll just be easy to slip the rockers in there, maybe. Or maybe am I kidding myself? Am I really going to be able to overcome the spring pressure? Let's find out. Actually, I took them all the way back out. I'm going to try to go in here. I don't know if this is going to work. Try to get them in their hole down there. They're centered, not here, but way down at the bottom. They got to go in their respective hole. That one's good. Now the question is, can I bring this up enough? Oh yeah, we can get them behind there. Okay, that's fine. I didn't know if these came up far enough to, or were we going to have to squish the valve some to get them to start. I'm going to just back the nut way off so we got some room to start here. There we go. It's not in the hole down below. There it goes. Good. And I'm just visually sighting down the hole. I don't think the camera would do any good down there. You just have to make sure that the other end, not this end, the far end is in the place where it needs to go. You'll see it. If you're doing this job, you probably have already done this, but if you're new to it, I'm just trying to, I can't show you every last thing, but I can get pretty close. Okay, got them both started. That's what we want. Keep those adjusters way up for now. Alright. So you don't want to see any movement while you're adjusting these. I'm moving the flywheel, if you can't see what I'm doing with my other hand there. Moving the flywheel back and forth because the piston should have been about top dead center. Show you how you can tell if it's at top dead center. You'll see this magnet lining up with that coil about top dead center. Let me make sure I got that in the shot. This coil and that part of the magnet, part that's different on the flywheel, match up about top dead center. So if you're rocking it here and those are going up and down, you got it wrong. So now you want to adjust your valve lash, and there's a specification for that, and it is fairly critical. Got you in the shot there, got you pretty close up. Okay, we have intake valve. We know it's the intake because it's by the carburetor, which is the intake. Exhaust valve by the exhaust. Easy. There are specifications. This one, 0.004 to 0.006 inch. So we find our feeler gauge of 0.005, which is right in the middle, and we put it in here, and we haven't got the clearance yet, so we back it up a little bit, and now we've got it. And how tight do you put it? You don't just make it so there's a gap. You put it so it basically can hold this pack up by itself, not you know, right angle, but you don't want it to slip in and out easy, and you don't want to have to push it in. Like, you don't want to have to pry it in. You want it to be able to go in by itself, but be a little tighter than what I've got it now. Maybe something like that, where it holds that pack. It's pretty tight on that. And then what you have to do is hold the center thing and tighten the nut down onto the rocker. So I'm going to just try to hold this by hand while I move this almost to tight. And then as I'm tightening, it's going to want to go this way with the centerpiece. It's going to want to drag it with me, so I need to try to resist that. And I'm going to try to just hold it with a pair of pliers. There's 50 different ways you can do this, but basically I'm trying to hold it from spinning with the nut. And now that I've got it tight, and you tighten that pretty good, because that would, if it's your final adjustment, if you've got it right, you're done. And this one, I'm just a little loose. So I'm actually going to try to just tighten the nut and see if it goes with it. Let's see if that's just enough to make it. Let me get this out of here so we're not interfering with the normal way it would be. I think we're right there, because I'm at 0.5 and we got 0.4 to 0.6, so we got a little room on each side. So if I'm too loose or too tight, we're going to be right there. Okay, now the exhaust is a different specification. Or no, actually on this engine it's 0.04 to 0.06, same way. Sorry, I was looking up other engines the other day for quite some time, and found some of them with variations, and I just assumed this was one of those with variations, but it is not. So again, that's probably a little loose. That's probably somewhere in the neighborhood. Hold the center adjuster, try to lock it down. May have moved. We know it may have moved, so we'll check it several times. And I think we may be the luckiest people alive, because that adjusted very nicely. I'm going to lock it down, see if it moved again, make sure it didn't move while I tightened it. I like it. It's holding that. Beautiful. I'm going to put the valve cover on before we get some junk in there. Well, it's kind of a shame, but it's time to cover up our brand new valve cover and all our work, brand new shiny work that we just put on her. But we're at the point. Let's get our valve cover. Brand new gasket there. Valve cover is nice and clean. Old gasket's gone. I'm going to actually try to put the gasket in the cover and then put it on. I just think that'll be easier. By the way, for those of you that don't know, on this exact engine, here's the model number stamped right in here, so it'll never get lost. 21M314 is the exact engine I'm working on today. 21M314. Any other engine, don't trust any torque specs that I gave you to be right. They are only for this engine. But they did give me new bolts, which makes me feel pretty good. Makes it look shiny for the guy when he gets it back. He knows you did what you said you did. Also, he could watch my video. Those aren't going near as tight as it sounds like. They have Loctite on them. And I'm using a very tiny mini impact gun. Nice. Alright, before I get any boogers in there, I'm going to put a spark plug in that hole there. Get that closed off before I drop some hardware inadvertently. And while you weren't looking, I put on the spark wire, just put it on there so I don't put something else, some shroud in front of it or whatever. I think this fuel line can go back on now. Original fuel line, primer bulb, that goes in the housing. Good. I just noticed something as I was looking over the parts to be put back on. To tell you how hot that head had gotten, some of you may say I can't justify replacing it. It got hot enough that the plastic burned. I have literally never seen that in my life. That's amazing. Okay, I was just going through my parts and I realized that this heat shield goes on that bolt there and behind these two that I've already tightened. That's the way things go sometimes when you take it apart. A long time ago, or a week ago, or whatever, not same day, and you forget how everything was. Don't always think you're going to get back to a project right away. I have plenty of video and whatever else I need, but if you're working on something, take pictures, because sometimes you don't get back to it right away. You know who you are. Actually, that one I think I'm going to put this ground wire on. I'm not sure if that's where it originally went, but that's where it's going to go. Pretty sure that has something to do with that. Can't figure where else it could go that you'd get a solid ground. Good. Alright, I'm losing light. You can't tell it on camera, but I'm losing light, so I'm done for today. See you in the next sunny day. Okay, got another day for me. Another couple seconds of film for you, and it's a beautiful day out here. Time to work on snowblower. I mean, lawnmowers. Yeah, whatever. Everybody's starting with the lawnmowers already, so I got to get this last one finished. Let's get right to it. First thing I'm going to do, the guy mentioned he had some mouse damage here on the fuel line. Let's not risk a fire or a leak of any kind while we got the fuel off already. Before I turned it on, we're going to replace that. Then we'll get the carburetor linkage, which I mistakenly didn't put on when I put the carburetor on. So one at a time here. That one's flipped around backwards. That doesn't make it too easy. Maybe it has to be to clear the cover or something. I don't know. There we go. I might have a little challenge getting this on. The other one does look like it was factory molded in a 90, so hopefully we don't kink it. This is pressure rated hose. This is good for like 225 psi. It's not necessary for a machine like this, but sometimes if you use that, it's got a tougher sidewall and it's almost impossible to collapse it together. So in this case, I'm using this. It costs about 4 times as much, but we won't have a kink. Most likely. Because we could do all this work, give it back to the owner, and if that kinks, he's going to say, well, you didn't fix the motor right. You know, he doesn't understand that it could be something so simple like that. He just knows it doesn't run, and of course, who would be happy with that? So let's give him the good stuff. And hopefully a few extra cents spent on fuel line of the good stuff pays off in the end. I'm going to cut that a little shorter. I left it a little long. I want this to go downhill to the carburetor. I do not want to have a place where water can be trapped. I want the water to go, if there is any, to go right into the carburetor so we could drain it out. So I'm going to go a little shorter on this. I added a little extra because I didn't know how I'd have to do that loop. If I had it down like that, that would be just about right. Do it like the factory did. Don't put a big loop in there. If water was in there, it could turn to ice, stop the flow of gas. Same issue. You end up looking like a jerk because it doesn't run. Yeah, perfect. Just to show you that mouse damage, he was down to the threads. There's threads in the middle. I don't know if you can see very well on the camera, but there's rubber, there's a woven fabric, and then more rubber. Well, he was all the way down to the woven fabric, so he was at least halfway through that, making that leak. So let's get it now. Now the next one might be a little trickier. This one, I should have had this up and over. Oh no, it comes up and over easy. I thought I'd have to bend it a little maybe to get it to where we need it. And that goes down into there, and then you snap the black thing over. There we go. And then there's a little mini spring. I'm going to get some pliers for that one. Try to keep my hand out of there to show you where it goes. It goes on the little hook, and that'll also help keep that plastic clip on there closed. And I'm just going to hook it right in that clip. And that's how our governor works. So looking down at the parts that still have to go on, we can tell where this goes, we can tell where that goes, we can tell where that goes. And that's the screen for the intake. These two parts, I'm going to be honest with you right now, I don't remember where they came off. I've taken this apart over a month ago, and I will possibly have to take off some of the stuff I'm going to put on to get these where they need to go. But I'm going to put the pieces that I know where they go on now, and we'll hopefully find these at the end where they go. If not, I'm going to have to review back on some of my footage, but I may end up taking something back apart. Alright, so the one piece I know where it goes is this one, and we know that because the fuel shutoff has to fit through it. You have to have the fuel shutoff in the up and down position, and then this slips right out, which is something I didn't know if you've watched the earlier videos in this series, I was unaware of. I couldn't find the third screw for the side, but I did find 3 of these, so I think these are actually the right ones. So let's undo those. And put in the black ones, which probably make more sense. And they're bigger. And they're fatter, but then I don't know what these are for, but we'll figure it out. Get you around the side there. Hey, you got you in frame? Sure we do. Sure we do. And I dropped it. Yeah. Uh-huh. Nice. Okay, so the only thing that makes sense to me, this had a nut on it, we could see that in the evidence, is right here. I could tell this was near something hot because it's got a little boil mark on the plastic there. That had to have been the muffler. So that makes sense with whatever black lines are there. That's the air dam. That one makes sense, but this little one, it's got a cutout, like maybe for the spark plug or something, but why would it be there? And then here's a hole, so then where does, it had dirt on the inside, that has to be the inside, so still working on that one. Okay, think I got it. Bolt hole was on the outside. Why that's there, I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to leave a little room for the, no, the breather goes down, so, oh, sure. It traps in the spark wire. There's the spark wire. And it's an air dam, so the air comes up this way. That's exactly what that is. Okay, perfect. Pretty sure that one is the one that uses the thumb screw because you have to take this out in order to get at your spark plug. So let's use that there. It's just difficult to remember when you've taken it apart so long ago. So again, here's your spark wire. This is your primer purge. This will go behind the little thing there, and then the whole line's up here. You can catch that out of the corner of your eye. Find a bolt for that. Steal my socket, will you? Here's how I think this goes. There, spacers, then a nut, then we're going to put the plastic, then another nut, so that doesn't fall off every time you take off the plastic shroud. That's not the right size. No, it needs a deep socket, really. Okay, perfect. That's not long enough the way I had it. take this off. I got those nuts back off of there. I'm just going to leave it like that. Give the plastic something to go up against. This goes here. Making sure I got my hose and my connector for the top piece that goes on the top. Then those screws are long enough to hold the nut. There we go. We got it pinned down now. Now I know where the rusty screws went that we had earlier. Those are for up here in the middle. I could see on this plastic, always look for evidence. There's rust stains that match the same color rust as are on those screws. So we are going to plug in our kill switch. Shouldn't matter if you turn it one way or the other. And this is our, off to the side here, if you can see this, that is our primer line. That goes to the primer bulb. And then this, I'm going up here, is fitting over the shaft for the choke. And let's see if that makes sense, how it fits. Yes. Bring it up top, put the bolts in. And I mentioned in a previous video how I was amazed at the heat damage that happened under here. It wasn't just from the head overheating, it was also the fact that it's right next to the muffler and that piece is attached to the muffler, so of course it's going to get hot. That doesn't exactly line up. Nice. And not to be outdone, let's get that choke knob lined up with wherever it lines up. How is that lined up? This way? There we go. Nice. Completely backwards from the pointer way I thought it should go, but it is what it is. Uh-oh. Somebody put stuff on in the wrong order. That needed to go on first, then that, then that. I warned you this could happen. Indeed it did. Alright. It took a little wiggling to get that behind that carburetor. It's kind of tight. It kind of has to go up and in. Not so easy. Let's get a couple of these started. Dropped it. Can I come in this way? Yep. It's in reverse though. Nice. Alright folks, you see I show you my mistakes. I don't mind, that's part of working. Alright folks, let's see how we did here. This is not the channel that does all the work behind the scenes and then just, oh how wonderful we are at making it run. I'm going to do this real deal, real time stuff here. I got the fuel on already. Let's give it a couple of those. That's on. Couple puffs. throttle must have became disconnected on the other end when I was playing around with it over here. Gotta take it back apart. Not too much major disassembly here. Most likely the lever end just came off of the throttle controller on this end. I thought that thing seemed to spin a little more than it should. And then this has to be in the up and down position, which is the off position, in order for you to remove this. Take this off again. Yeah, that's been a little bit of take it apart, put it back together. That's what happens when you don't double check yourself. Let's see if I can sneak this out of there. Or not. Kinda. Not really. I can't even see that rod behind there. That whole tank's sitting on top of it. More disassembly. Hopefully that's enough to get to where I need to get. Maybe we'll have to go deeper. Let's see. What does that gain us? Yes, I can see it. Let's see. Without breaking any fuel lines. Oh yeah, that thing is supposed to be in there. Oh, got gas pouring out. Careful, careful. I'm going to get you zoomed in so we can see that black hole. The spring is still in there, but this thing is supposed to be in that black hole, not next to it. So that is where the fail came. Whoa, I knocked you. Where are we at here? There we go. So just in case anybody needs a close-up of that, that goes in there, spring goes next to it. On this particular engine, that spring is in hole 5, and whatever else you can see for setting your own governor. I know they can be difficult to get out of place. Alright, I got the thing put back together. Let's see what we got. Isn't particularly fond of idling, but I think we got a runner here, folks. My bad, folks. Gas was off. Try it again. More like it. There we have it, everybody. 30-inch wide, 21-inch high, 2-stage, self-propel, multiple speeds, heated hand grip warmers, working headlight, all in working order. We started, if you've been following the whole series, we started with a machine that couldn't run at all. It was ready for the junkyard, and now we have again a good working machine. It's a quality machine, worthy of being fixed. Unlike many of the new ones, this engine is built to last. It says Ariens on it, but it's really a Briggs and Stratton Polar Force. Parts are readily available. Original equipment parts are readily available. And now, they're back to going again. If you did watch from the beginning, or even if you didn't, watch the whole series, I appreciate you watching. And I hereby declare this machine Wildwood certified. Thanks.